Is your hat gonna clear frame? Just
Sorry,
a taunt.
I'm so swagged out. Don't, please don't. It's literally
the right angle.
It's literally everything to me. Everyone watching, hello. Welcome to Brutally Honest Reviews. I am Bobby. With me, we got Evan, Aaron, and Justin, and we're going to be reviewing Steven Spielberg's Ready Player One, based on the best-selling book. In this movie, a bland, forgettable lead lives and spends most of his time in what's called... spends most of his time in what's called the Oasis, much like a lot of the other people in this universe do.
I kept forgetting it was called the Oasis, and I always think it's the Animus, but that's Assassin's Creed, isn't it?
It's
Yeah,
the
it's
Oasis.
Assassin's Creed.
It's definitely the Oasis. So this is an idealized world where you can essentially be whatever you want to be, and it's extra great because the world they're living in is essentially gone to shit. And the creator of this virtual reality world, the main character idolizes, he's obsessed with him, and upon his passing, he has left clues, puzzles, and hints that will eventually lead to the ownership of the Oasis and a great fortune. And in an unlikely event, the main character, along with a bunch of ragtag group of kids, end up taking down this big evil corporation that wanted the Oasis for themselves. He gets the girl, everything ends happily, so we'll do spoiler-free reviews first. So, Evan, real quick, just let me know what you thought about Spy Kids 3D.
So, Spy Kids 3D. Love Spy Kids 3D.
This is the point where you should put on your glasses.
So, Ready Player One, without getting to spoilers, because I'm pretty bad at that, I thought it was pretty good. I thought that... I'll just say this, halfway through the movie, I wasn't feeling it, 30 minutes in, and then I sat through another 30 minutes and started to kind of grow on me, like the characters, and it just kind of sat well with me, and it ended really well. I don't want to go into spoilers, and I'm going to do it, so let's do that later.
All right, cool. So it's a thumbs up from you.
Thumbs up. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Oh, wow. That's a good...
That's pretty solid.
That's high.
Yeah, you're judging me, right?
Okay, no, it's fine. I'm glad. No, we need this. All right, Aaron, tell me what you thought of Ready Player One.
I thought it struggled in the beginning. It's not really a spoiler to say that it focuses a lot on narration and exposition to explain the setup of the world, which I almost always think is a mistake. But I think that once the story does get going, it does hit most of the same beats that any good story does. It moves well, and I thought it was interesting. I think that if you're not like really super into movies like we are, I think that you'd probably have a great time watching it because, you know, it's a classic sort of setup, and then you get an added bonus of all of these characters that you know and love.
Yeah, so Justin over here is our fact checker.
So Justin decided that he would order his movie pass last Friday instead of 3 weeks before I should have. So Justin's kind of an idiot. I'm Justin. I'm an idiot. So I have literally no idea what this movie's about, and I didn't read the book because I'm a terrible human being. So I will be fact-checking everybody's nonsense to the best of my ability. I haven't seen it, so I don't know what to fact-check. And, yeah.
Just to put we're gonna up to speed. Has anyone read the book?
I have not.
It's in my Amazon cart now, though.
Okay.
I want to read it now.
Yeah.
I want to see how, because I heard people were mad who read the book.
Really? Yeah. I saw the movie with someone who had read the book. And so as we were sort of talking back and forth through the movie, he was saying how there were a lot of things that different, and it does seem like the world building in the book is much better. But I do think that, like, in a book, you can spend about 20 to 30 pages setting up exposition the way the movie did in its first 30 minutes, and it's fine because you still have 300 pages to read through, and it's more like just for you. But in a movie, when you're relying on visual cues and visual storytelling, a voiceover narration just doesn't stick as an audience member.
I think people are way too harsh on book to movie adaptations. Like, you can't get 300 pages into a 2-hour movie and have everything be there and intact.
Sure.
Yeah.
There are also just things that work in books that simply don't work in movies. Like
Yeah.
when everyone's just like, oh, I liked it, but it was so much better than the book. I'm like, of course it is, because they're two completely different storytelling platforms. There are things that are possible and are not possible in both separate platforms.
Right.
So you can't judge a movie, whether it's good or bad, on how close it was to the book that it was based on, if it's based on a book.
Right.
I think that you can change literally everything, and it can still be fantastic as long as it's good. But that's where a lot of things fail, is they base it on a book, and then it ends up being terrible, and everyone goes, oh, but when you change everything, it ends up being terrible. I'm like, no, when they change it to terrible things, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But when they change it, I mean, like, take Spider-Man, for example. Everyone loves the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Yeah, episode, the third one wasn't that good, but everyone liked the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
Right.
Remember how his webs came out of his body? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's not even close to what it was in the original, but no one talked about it because it was good. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
that's where the difference is. Just to give my synopsis, because I want to get into spoilers. I'm like itching to get into spoilers. I'm definitely more aligned with Aaron on this. I ended up getting invested, sure, like along the end, definitely where you were talking about, Evan.
Yep.
But yeah, not to get too spoilery, but the beginning really, really leans heavily on clunky exposition, like this really long voiceover, and it wasn't 5 minutes. It was like a 15-minute, like it was a really big chunk of the movie.
Character had no character development at all.
None.
Yeah.
And he needed that. He needed that in order to do it. And the thing that sucks the most is that I don't think it needed to be that way, because most of the things he was telling us, they were also showing us. You know what I mean? I got a lot of the stuff. And all the other extra stuff could have been time developing his relationship with his family.
Right.
And does anyone remember the creator of the Oasis? What was his name?
Oh, fuck. What is fact checker?
I think we're in spoiler territory now, correct?
Okay, let's spoiler
territory.
territory. If you haven't seen it, this is your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 spoilers.
Because, okay, that movie did not even care about that family subplot. That was in there to just have a deadbeat dad mess with that guy.
Halliday.
James Halliday, that's right.
James Halliday.
That aunt and that douchebag boyfriend blow the up, and he never, he just walks away from the explosion after that happens, and we never go into it. Like, the romance subplot really starts to pick up in the real life and not just in the game after that, and the entire time he's, like, making faces at this, and I'm literally yelling at the screen, like, your aunt just died!
Yeah.
Like,
This is true. Yeah.
the person who will put a roof over your head in Ohio, the terrible place where trailers are stacked on top of one another. Which, how did that happen? I have the plot itself is good, but they show you this world that you never get to explore, and like, I want to know, why is it people are living in such a cloistered state where trailer tractors are stacked onto each other to the height of skyscrapers? Why is it that the police don't get involved when a private corporation blows up a bunch of these trailers via drones?
I think I didn't have a problem with that because I thought that was implied. Like the way I see things now, like our current state in politics and just sociology in general, I just don't think that that's too far from the future.
Yeah,
I think it's very believable.
Yeah,
I think it's like a path that we've often, like, it's often in movies, like like in Ready Player One.
Yeah, when it comes to the world, like the side-by-side world, I can't tell you how many times, I'm watching a movie where the movie involves two different parts. There's this part, and then there's this second part. And a lot of times I find myself, you can go for, like Star Wars, for example. In The Last Jedi, like, all of this ridiculous stuff is happening, and I'm just like, can we get back to Luke? Please, can we get back to Luke? And that was one of the things I actually liked about the movie, was that there is absolutely no way that this real-life world is going to be interesting compared to the Oasis. So I liked that they were just like, just focus on the Oasis, because this world is as boring as we're making it look. Like, just focus on the world. So,
Yeah.
as being harshly critical of this movie, I actually didn't mind it doing that, because if it did, I would have been like, can we get back to the, like, cool stuff the whole time?
They were in the real world so little, but I think they should have went one further and just been in the real world even less, because like you said, it makes f***ing sense that his whole family gets get blown up, and the place where he lives, and he just f***ing goes on to whatever mission they're on.
Right.
Like, he doesn't really, like, dwell on, like, I'm gonna get revenge, shit, like, someone just got killed in real life. Like, no one got killed in the movie except for those two. right?
Yeah. Probably some other NPCs. They're not NPCs in movies, but you get what I mean. Yeah.
With these specifics, let's try to work our way forward. Like
Okay.
we were talking about the intro shot, the 15-minute like expositional, like how it. Now that we're in spoiler territory, let's get into the specifics of what mainly. Now, you really liked the movie. Did that bother you?
So, the exposition?
The
So-
setup.
Yeah, so I thought it was really weird that all of a sudden that I pressed play. I thought it was part of like, because I watched the movie streaming, so I thought like I skipped part of the movie because am I already sliding down a mountain in this place I don't know.
Yep.
So I thought it was a little out of place to be just thrown into that world and not really be explained anything. And putting it forward more, and I think this is kind of a personal preference, but like the gamer talk was kind of not accessible for all ages at first, and I feel like they didn't segue into that right away, and I was like right away I was kind of like making faces at it, you know, as a gamer, as hearing like how lame kids can sound online. I kind of hated that, but then I kind of realized as the movie went along that it made sense. Like, people do talk like that online. I get it, but yeah, I wasn't for it.
So even the person who give it a 9 out of 10, like still,
Yeah, I
like
have no
still
problems with it,
yeah, definitely. So Aaron, what specifically, Aaron, did you, because you have even stronger feelings about the end.
Yeah, I just don't like exposition. To me, I think the first 25 to 30 minutes of the movie are the most important and arguably the most interested because they have to hook us. Like, you have to spend every minute hooking us and showing us new things. Not only showing us new things, you have to show why the character is unhappy with the world he's around, even if it's a totally different world than we're used to. So that's a very like short period of time to make that transition to being, I understand this world, and I understand why this person, our main character, is not happy in it. And I just don't think that, given the way film works, with it is being visual storytelling, despite the fact that there are lines of dialogue and conversations between characters being extremely important, like having someone talk directly at the audience like that for that length of time doesn't work. And I have written a lot of stories myself where I go through after the first draft and take that out. And like, I know there's ways to sort that out.
Yeah, the biggest thing with me was what I saw was it was mirroring, visually it was mirroring everything that we were hearing. So, you know, he has this line, I forget what it is exactly, but he goes, you know, people come to the Oasis because of what they can do and they stay because of what they can be, or something like that. And as we're doing, it's painting this world, this universe beautifully of him sliding down, walking through this universe, and literally through the window, like telling us metaphorically, like through the window, these guys are actually living the lives that they want to live. You see this really, really scrawny kid. He's being a boxer as he's walking through, and then you see another girl who's a little bit on the heavier side, and she's a pole dancer, and she's probably, you know, super fit and sexy inside of that world. You see these people living out their idealized versions of what their life could be. And that's all I need to understand. Like, if this was just silence, like, I don't think movies take advantage of silence enough because when I'm looking at this, if this was just a silent scene and I'm only hearing ambient noise from his surroundings, he's walking by and I'm hearing the crinkling and the crunching of just like this like houses just stacked on top of one another, and I see it's just a miserable setting, but people having the time of their lives inside because they're completely cut off from reality. Right. That paints everything that I need in order to understand what's about to happen within this like respective universe. Yeah. So that's what I thought about the intro, and then honestly I thought that was the low point of the movie, and it just got better from there. Yeah.
It started off really, really kind of just meh, and then like somewhere around the 40-minute mark, I started to like the characters because they were developed more, where they should have been developed earlier, but they were developed pretty well. By the middle of the movie, somewhat like that, started to like the characters, and then kind of went up from there.
When I started being like, okay, I'm a little invested now, was when I found we met Wade. I believe that was his name, Wade, the main character. Yeah. Yep. When Wade met up with his best friend.
H, right?
Yes,
yeah,
H.
Yeah.
And they're in spoiler alert, her factory. You see the Iron Giant, you see everything like that, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. Like, I like this.
See, that's one thing I really liked about that character H, is that this seems to be a world where you can really just materialize anything out that you want to. You can customize it. there's some gameplay. You have to earn coins and stuff to build up to things. But what I really liked about H in that moment is this is a character who's choosing to be in the digital world and like play games, but also to physically, digitally build things. And that's what I really liked about that character. I think became my favorite character in the movie is because they're choosing to spend their time in something that should be escapism, but like performing another craft.
Yeah, she was definitely my favorite part of the movie. Now that I'm thinking about it, H was my favorite part of the whole movie.
Right. I think her scenes between where she's in the game, and for most of the movie we think this is a male character because the avatar is male and has a male voice. And then when you actually see her in real life, that was a really great payoff. It could be seen as like a little bit tropey, but I thought that, there's nothing wrong with tropes a lot of the time. Like if you earn them, they're great. And there's only, I don't know, there's hundreds of ways or thousands of ways to tell a story, but eventually we've kind of seen them all. Yeah. And I think that the way they did that with that character really earned that beat. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was when her reveal, when she, you see her and she's a girl. She's kind of like a little tough looking. She's black. You really didn't see it coming. But what was so great is that the writing was on the wall. With that little line that she delivered to Wade would be like, he could live in the Bronx. It could be a dude. It could be this. It's just like she's actually talking about her because she knows that this can be deceiving because she's deceiving people. Yeah. And through the voice, you could tell that was a girl's voice. Like when I was hearing it, I'm like, there's something about this voice. I wasn't like, that's a girl, but I was just like, there's something going on with her voice. Like something's going on with it. Like it is. Yeah. This isn't just like a male's character's voice.
Kind of like almost like no, I don't want to say that she's trying to be someone she's not, but sure. I picked up on something that was not quite the character.
Yeah.
And I know what you mean.
Is it unfair to say that she's trying to be someone she's not when she's portraying herself as a male character and doesn't want people to know that she's...
I mean, maybe that's who she is.
Like, I mean, if you want to go down that
in
road.
Here. I don't know if I could just like... In terms of her character, I think she wasn't trying to come across as male. I think she was trying to come across as strong and capable.
Right.
Yeah.
As she wasn't like, I'm a man. You know what I mean? I think it was more about being in charge and being. It was more about like what was in here than what was here. You know what I mean? I think.
But like, I think the fact that those ideas are like typically male. When you had the love interest of the character, whose name I am forgetting now. Justin, can we get those names real quick?
It's because they're all forgettable.
Yeah.
Who? The love interest.
Is it V or Z? Is her avatar name?
Love interest of Wade.
Samantha.
Samantha's
What was her avatar?
Yeah.
Artemis.
That's right. Yeah. But because Z is short for whatever Wade's avatar's name is.
Yeah.
I'm only realizing that this movie uses names in which are not like findable. Like, who's H?
It all made sense.
H
though.
is the
like, is H Helen?
H? Yeah, Helen. Yeah.
Arch?
The best friend of.
Because like I'm
Wade.
like looking through it, I'm just like, there's you're saying H, and I'm like,
it seems bulky, but when you're watching the movie, it works.
Z.
It doesn't. It's not confusing when you're watching it.
I understand.
Yeah. So we have so we talked about her. We see the message from a dead Halliday. Explaining, a pretty standard like, and I've hidden puzzles,
How
and
do you
I've
like his
done
character,
this,
by the
and
way?
I've done. Oh, I liked him.
I love this character.
I liked Halliday.
Wayne's World meets like.
Yeah.
Wayne's World.
It was Wayne's World meets Wayne's
Yeah.
World. It was no, I liked him, and I thought that it was very true to. I thought it was true to. That's how it is. Like you have these kind of guys that kind of don't feel like they belong, you know what I mean? And that's why cons are so great, because you go in and you're just like, oh, I feel like I belong with all these people. We're all like-minded. So
I think James Halliday was kind of a tragic figure, because if you saw, like, when we get to see flashbacks, like, he's really into games like Pong and Adventure, like things that are like less than 8-bit.
I love that.
Yeah, which is a very cool retro feel that added to the game. But the whole product, like 60% of this movie takes place in the Oasis, and like that field is just so broad, and this guy created all of that. So he almost seems like a tragic character to me, and I want to know if you guys agree with that because of that spectrum. Do you agree?
I don't think he's dead.
Really?
Yeah, because at the end of the movie, we know who thinks he's dead, who thinks he's alive.
There was an ambiguity to the ending where it's just like, what are you? Like, why aren't you your avatar right now?
I think he's part of the living game. I mean, I haven't read the book, but I think he's part of the living game.
There is a sequel to the book. I don't know anything about the written works, but I kind of got the feeling like maybe he uploaded his consciousness.
That's
Yeah,
what
like,
I was thinking.
What if that's the last thing he did, where it's like, okay, like you guys have spent all your lives in the Oasis, I've spent all my life gaming. Let's continue that forever. Like, why would I want to go to like some heaven I've never believed in?
I think it'd be really cool if he was like the guide throughout like another series. Like, I know he was a wizard in the Oasis, and I don't want to really compare that to Harry Potter and not Gandalf. That's Lord of the Rings.
Dumbledore.
Same idea, Dumbledore.
Yeah.
But like this could be like a 5 or 6. We could see 5 or 6 movies out of this, and if they go that route, I would probably be happy with it.
How cool would that be to actually progress through this, but not like just like, oh, they're all different adventures of this guy between his 20s and 40s and his love interest, but be like, if you get 3 movies of this and like the last movie deals with like dying and then becoming a part of the Oasis as your afterlife.
That'd be pretty crazy.
Because that would make Halliday, wouldn't that kind of essentially make him God? I mean, he made the world that people are playing in, and if people can
The
upload
god of the
them so
Oasis,
rapid-
yeah.
Yeah, and if he's all living, like first, obviously, like if you shut the game down with the button, I mean, maybe he's gone, but.
These theories are way cooler than this movie.
Yeah.
So we got the message from Halliday. Everyone's just like, all right, and he's going and he's trying to learn as much as he can so he can solve these puzzles. And then when things really start to pick up is when we have the race.
Yep.
What did you guys think of the race? The sequence that also introduces that's where H first comes into play, and that's where Artemis first comes into play. What did you guys think of the race?
I liked it. I liked most of the challenges. I didn't have a problem with it. Did you have a?
No, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was there's been. Go ahead.
Are we talking about the first race where our hero Z, aka Wade, doesn't finish?
The very first.
Okay.
Introducing the race.
So what I liked about that was, one, it showed off a lot of cool stuff, and then 2, it does seem like maybe it was a tropey moment for him to stop this woman that he doesn't know from.
Well, he knows her from her Twitch stream.
Right.
So he knows of her.
So one thing I kind of like about that is like, I feel with the way YouTube and Twitch and these mediums are working is that people do feel a really empathetic connection and such with these streamers. And I feel that myself with a couple of people I follow. And so I really did buy that he wouldn't want her to get hurt. And I also I think it's a very good thing for a hero to have empathy. I think it's a great motivation for stories across pretty much any medium, but I think the way a lot of things are going on in the real world today, empathy is a trait that's really being left out of the way. And I don't know if digital media interactions are affecting that or not, but I like the idea that someone in such an immersed digital world where it would be so easy to ignore people and not think of them as real people to still have empathy, that's a hero I do want to root for.
Sure. Yeah. I liked the biggest thing that this... Because before I even saw this movie, I started hearing a lot of backlash about oh, it's just like nostalgia candy, it's just like bait nostalgia, all this type of stuff. The nostalgia and the nods and the Easter eggs to stuff, it didn't bother me. And the reason why it didn't bother me was because it was ambient.
Yeah.
It would have bothered me because, for example, Wade shows up in the DeLorean from Back to the Future. They
loved it.
They didn't say anything about it. He just showed up in it. It would have been really, really dumb if H then went, "Whoa, that's the DeLorean from Back to the Future!" And I would have been like, yeah. Thank you. We know. But the fact that it was just there and they didn't reference the fact that it was the DeLorean from the Back to the Future, that's a nod. That's what I liked. So the fact that it wasn't so on the nose about all of these things, they threw it in your face, but nothing was on the nose. They were never, the only thing was, whoa, is that an Iron Giant? And I'm like, yeah, it's from the movie Iron Giant.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
I
That
love
was
the Iron Giant.
the
so
first
I'm so
big-
okay with it.
No, I know. I
thing
didn't
we
mind.
saw,
I didn't
so-
mind. I'm just saying that's the only time that they did that.
Yeah.
And I didn't now and I'm not a huge anime fan.
Gundam.
No, not Gundam. I freaked out when I saw that, truthfully.
Yeah, same.
Toonami Kids.
Artemis's motorcycle
Oh, it's
was from a famous anime.
Is
Akira,
it?
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh shit! I don't watch anime, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I
So
haven't seen
both
either,
of those
yeah.
things in the same exact thing. They weren't like, whoa, I know her from her Twitch stream, and she's got the thing from Akira. That's so awesome. Like if that, then I would have been like, God, this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it never did that, and I appreciated that. So when I did see King Kong, when I did see the Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park, they didn't bother me because they weren't like, you must get past King Kong, and you also must get past the T-Rex from directed by Steven Spielberg from Jurassic Park. You know what I mean? Like it never
Apparently, you
felt
must
that
also
way.
get past Sean Connery.
Listen,
Hunt for
sweetheart.
Red October.
Listen, sweetheart. I'll have a mango iced tea, shaken, not stirred. But there's an American Dad reference. But yeah, so I liked it. But then he goes back and he finds a super obvious, silly clue from the the archives of his memories, of Halliday's memories.
Yeah.
And then it's like backwards, and he goes, "What if we go backwards?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"All right."
That was a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
kind
it.
of like, what kind of a space cadet figures this shit out? Like, and just what kind of weed is he smoking?
But like, didn't that seem just like a big joke that's like intentionally there as like not like a middle finger, but like, huh? Because he's driving a DeLorean, so to go backwards in the car from Back to the Future, where in which they originally go to the past.
I wonder if that was like a plan.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
I'm
I'm not sure if it was planned. I'm thinking of it right now as we're talking about it.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if we can give the movie that much credit. That's pretty clever.
That's probably what they thought.
but if it was that, that's really good. Like
that's fun.
No one's read the book, right?
none of us have read the book now.
I've been meaning to
I just wonder if that's like a Spielberg like team clever thing or if it's a book thing. I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what. When he did go backwards, and you saw him, and he was essentially underneath the entire race. I was like, oh, this is cool visually, and then it ended very anticlimactically.
Kind of.
And then it was like spin move, and it's like, hey, you won. I'm like, oh, that's it.
And then everybody else fucking was like, let me bandwagon win also.
exactly.
Like,
So I think that was a bad movie. That was like a bad move to have for your beat because like that's kind of ends our first act is him making that key, and like you want to do something cool for the break into 2 where you're gonna be doing a lot of cool action stuff and they're gonna do a lot of eggs. But I think like sort of like from a writing standpoint, it kind of fits that like it's anticlimactic because you just backed your way out of all of the hard parts of the race, which is 99.9999% impossible. If not 100% impossible. So I thought that kind of worked.
I
Yeah.
would have liked to see some like Super Mario pipes and shit because like always in
Yeah,
Super
they
Mario
couldn't
you
get
can skip
that.
ahead.
Did they get any Nintendo?
They
in
could
the
not
movie,
get
by
that
the way?
license. No.
Probably
No
legally.
way.
I don't
But
know.
yeah.
Nintendo pretty nice, but still probably.
So
legally
that would have been
couldn't
cool if
do
it was like,
Yeah, it would have been really cool.
yeah.
and he was moving through, got some coins. But all right, so they end. Artemis gets it. H gets it. And then another character that we don't get to know until 7/8 through the movie.
Yeah.
Get
Samurai
it?
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the kid, the
Yeah,
younger
there's
kid. We
That's the
end up.
samurai dude.
Then there's another one.
The
There is
samurai
another
is an
one.
adult. The ninja is a kid. He's like 11.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
get your.
I mean, they're the same
Get your
thing, but-
Asian stereotypes
That
right,
might have
dude.
been blended together.
Yeah, for real. In your head, they're just ninja
Yeah,
and samurai are the
maybe-
same
You should have known
character.
that,
I'm
Bobby,
sorry,
because those are
everyone.
both alternate base classes for D&D.
Dude, well, sure, but the fact that they're both Asian,
Oh yeah, that
Yeah.
stereotype.
a little,
Wait, were
little on the
they?
nose.
I
they
mean,
were both Asian, and it was like,
technically.
we're gonna have a samurai and a ninja. Get two Asian actors pronto.
Yeah.
and they need to speak Japanese too.
So
Right.
that was a little confusing because now that I think of it, I'm a little confused at which character was which.
Yeah,
In
Little
the
dry.
Oasis, obviously. Like,
Sure, sure,
obviously, like 11-year-old kid looks different.
Well,
from
that's because they
16-year-old
were
kid.
like, and then I eventually got it, and then H did, And then what
Yes.
Yardemus? What's her name?
Sequences like that.
Xanimus. What the hell's her name?
Artemis. Yeah.
Artemis. And then Artemis got it. And then Samus.
Animus.
Yeah.
Samantha. Artemis.
Samantha.
Whatever.
And then she got it. And then these other guys got it. And
Yeah.
then when they showed up to the next one, so why am I blanking on this movie right now? The whole the horror movie, the whole scene,
Shining.
Chucky?
The Shining,
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
The Shining.
Oh,
that
so
was a
part.
highlight of the movie, I
Overdone.
think.
Yeah.
I think it was overdone.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
See, I thought it was kind of cool that they start with The Shining, and you get to go through some of the like hackneyed parts, and then it kind of like became like its own thing with the Shining being the background. So that was good. Why do you think it? When do you think it got overdone?
I didn't
Just because
like.
it was so verbatim.
I didn't like their choice to do the blood wall as like the thing that the big tough guy is scared of. Do you know what I mean?
Oh.
I was like, really?
I thought it was kind of funny.
I thought it'd be way better to just do something like way creepier with the hallway. Like, there's so many more creepy moments in that movie other than the blood.
Sure.
Like, this is someone like they live like literally almost live in a video game, and this character H obviously kills a lot of shit.
Yep.
So this blood wall is terrifying. Is terrifying to them.
Yeah. No,
You
I
know?
see what you're saying. I thought it was fun. It's like, never seen The Shining? Is it scary?
Yeah.
And they're like, you've never seen The Shining? He goes, no. Is it scary? And I was just like, this is fun. Like this is funny, and I love that they took scenes, like actual scenes from the movie. I
Yeah.
thought it was fun. Sure, it was a little bit on the nose, but
A little
I
much.
enjoyed
So
it.
this
I
might be an
enjoyed it.
insane like thought to put in, but you guys know about infrasound?
No.
So a lot of horror movies use something called infrasound, which has a measurement to a certain amount of hertz that I cannot for the life of me remember, but you can look it up right now. 20 hertz.
Thank you,
And
Justin.
it's a sound level that is you're not able to consciously hear it or discern it, but it creates a feeling of unease and tension, and I think it raises your heartbeat.
Oh, that's
it's
super
it's this sort of sound wave that happens. It's the reason a lot of people feel that abandoned like churches or buildings are scary, which it can be resulted through wind blowing through old pipes. And I think something just be like, if someone gets a readout, infrasound.
That's so interesting.
Someone gets a readout and be like, oh, why is there like a pickup of infrasound or something? And just a throwaway line is one of the characters. And that would like, for me, as a person who knows about that, would set a mood and be like, okay, so now I know going into this Shining level is that everyone is heightened because there's a unhearable noise going through it that's making you that
Are
way.
you saying they should have referenced it?
I don't know if they should have I don't know if there's a good
Nobody
way to
knows
reference.
that
Yeah,
at
no,
all.
nobody.
I didn't it.
Like none of you guys
That
knew
would've
it.
been a nerdy.
I just filmed a horror movie and I shit.
But it's an entire movie about video games, so I feel like if that's the cap for nerdy, come on. It's Steven Spielberg making a movie. He's a huge film nerd.
Yeah, and he only had to direct 15 minutes of live action. And everything else was...
What do you mean? You're making a joke, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
But...
I don't know if it's a fact.
point though.
No, I'm saying literally like...
He said some pretty distasteful things about Netflix being not worthy of receiving Oscars on some retarded level of why that.
His Netflix nonsense is like insulting to the film industry. As if like Netflix is less than anything he's ever done. Because like if you've watched a Netflix original, you'd probably argue it's better than most of the you've seen in movies in the last 5 years. Because Netflix is just willing to just money bag money into the films they're grabbing.
Netflix will go to people who have movies and buy them because they're good movies. Studios go to good directors and they say, here's all this money. Oh, but you have to do this movie this way, this way, this way. This character has to be in here.
Do you like? Are we aware that like? All right, this is a side note a little bit, but like Cloverfield would have never even seen the light of day. The third one, the new one. What's it called?
I hate that piece of shit.
Cloverfield Lane, which we'll definitely have to make a podcast of for sure. I love that movie, but like it would have never seen the light of day if Netflix wasn't just like, we'll give it a chance, whatever. It's weird, and it truly is weird. Netflix picked that up when nobody would.
Netflix also picked up Annihilation, which
Yeah.
I really commend it for.
But only in foreign
there needs to be more
countries.
movies like
Netflix also gives people like in our positions a place to like set up and make movies, which is so really so important. And at the same time, like I feel like there's such a high pressure to make a movie that's a hit after a hit after hit, and I don't know if there's any other industry where it's like it's so not okay to fail. once you get to a certain level. And like a big studio might only make for at least like 5 to 7 major movies a year, and they're gonna pack them with like superheroes and stuff. And not like if you like superhero movies, that's great. Like personally, I have a little bit of franchise fatigue from superheroes and Star Wars and all sorts of stuff. But like, I would just love that if some of those massive amounts of hundreds of millions and billions of dollars could go into so many other smaller projects.
Right.
Because I think that like trying something new and failing at it is a really important step in making movies or art.
Wasn't that truly the theme of like 2015-16 of like, let's remake this franchise, let's remake this franchise, let's remake this franchise, and then like
that trend's
studio, it's still going, but like it looks like in 2018, like A24, the studio A24 is like your trends. Let's make new movies, and if they fail, they fail. But if they win, let's win.
Yeah.
Because it seems like the more trailers I see and the more new movies I see, they're just like exponentially better, and they're unique plot lines.
Yeah.
I disinclude the Meg because the Meg is just Jaws, the new Jaws movie.
Not to go off track
damn, I wanna
anymore,
see
but I will say that like I've been wanting to see that movie Hereditary for so long, and they just keep fucking pouring on the same trailer on and again. The trailer every time I go see a movie, and
Wait, what's
I'm
Hereditary about? It's a brief trailer.
Briefly, it's about a woman who has basically inherited character traits and we don't know what else from her mother who's passed.
Yes, I saw that when well, it doesn't matter, but I saw the trailer.
And
See, that sounds
if you
good,
need
but,
to know the definition
it's on my-
too,
Like I
right
have
there.
stopped watching trailers for movies that I want to see.
Same. I'm on your boat.
So like I think like this will definitely come up if this series continues, or even if this podcast episode continues, is that Bobby does not like The Last Jedi.
No.
And I actually had a decent time watching it because I was on media blackout. I have the Unspoiler app on Chrome, the browser I use. I block out anything for Game of Thrones, and I block out anything for Star Wars and a couple other things.
Do that.
Yeah, it's a really actually useful app for that. And I go into those movies totally blind, and then if I happen to see a different movie and the trailer comes up, I have to put my hands in my ears and stick my head.
I do that
into my
too.
lap and go,
I do this.
"La, la, la, la,
I do
la,
this.
la."
You know what really helps?
Yeah.
Not covering it, doing this.
Yeah.
If you
Don't
do that,
you-
you can't hear anything.
Trailers are pretty deceiving.
But yeah.
Not only are they deceiving, they give you everything.
Yeah.
The art of trailers is no longer like there
Yeah.
used to be an amazing an amazing art to trailers where it would hook you by essentially telling you nothing. And if you want an example of a flawless trailer, check out the trailer and whole ad campaign for Ex Machina. Ex Machina was one of my favorite movies of all time. And I saw the trailer, and it was perfect. And I
Another
learned
A24 film.
I learned nothing. Nice. Oh, nice.
It is.
I didn't know that, but I learned nothing about the movie, and I was interested, and it was amazing. But I don't want to gush about that. We're about halfway through, more than halfway through this podcast, only halfway through this movie. Ready Player One. So they get past that. Side note that I just wanted to notice before we go on past the Shining portion.
Yeah.
There's the part where the lady's getting out of the tub. She's completely naked. H is in the room, and she comes up and she goes, "I'm gonna just go with it." And she starts going in like she's about to hook up with this girl. And then I don't think people realize that it's like, oh, it's a girl. And I don't know, it's just like a cute little way to be like, hey, this is a lesbian.
Going
Like,
back,
I don't know, I liked
now
it.
I get it.
I liked it.
get it, but I also, I mean, it's not really integral to the story, but I get it.
Oh, not at all.
It
But
definitely makes more sense.
I just thought of it. I was just like,
Do
she's just gonna have a go.
Do you have to participate in your own?
Sure.
Like when it's a game like that, is a sex scene or something like that just a reward, or is it something that you have to be physically into and define your sexuality as a real life player?
Oh my god,
Because-
we don't have time. We don't have time.
That's like a moral thing.
Yeah.
That's insanity.
Well, because I just know as like I played a lot of Dragon Age Origins back in the day, and no matter what my character personality was, or no matter what my character's gender or race or species was, I always ended up with Zevran for at least like 10 minutes, because that guy will do anything, and it's just funny.
They win. What's it called? Everyone leaves. Artemis is the one that gets it. She has to jump from platform to platform. She ends up winning. Everybody else does. Who we haven't talked about at all is the evil corporation that is trying to win the Oasis for themselves.
IOI, yes.
What was it? IOI.
IOI.
Yeah.
With their leader played by Ben Mendelsohn.
Yeah, who was director Krennic in Rogue One.
Yeah.
Another
He's a
incredibly
very good villain.
disappointing
Yeah.
Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I looked him up afterwards because I thought he was fantastic in that movie. He was the villain in Animal Kingdom in the Australia. I don't know if anyone saw the Australian one. It won like Best Picture like 4 years ago.
Oh, no way.
5 years ago, yeah. It became a show. Animal Kingdom, no? Anybody?
He's one of those actors, though, I think that just, like, chews through scenery.
Yeah.
Like, when he's in it, like, he's the person you want to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't
I
get
liked
cheesy.
him. I think he worked as this corporate lead. I bought it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I bought that. I liked a little bit. I liked the exchange that he had with Wade, where he was like, "Listen, I'm gonna do this, and when I do this, I like to kick back with a little blah 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 and play blah blah blah." I forget what he said, but Wade came back. It was like a little bit of character came out of Wade in this moment where I was like, "Oh, I think I'm starting to like this kid," and then nothing else ever happened. But he was like, "Oh, I know you got your counsel in your ear right now, and I know they're telling you to say all that stuff." And I was like, "Oh, he's smart."
Yeah.
And then you go back, and he's like, "Yeah, but blah blah blah." He goes, "Yeah, I know you got them in your other ear." And I'm just like, "Oh my god, he's smart. He's cunning. He's gonna get him."
Yeah.
And then that was it. But that small little brief exchange I thought was fun. And essentially, IOI was a corporation dedicated to solving these puzzles, kind of failing miserably because they were out of touch, like incredibly out of touch with what gamers actually, like any corporation. You know what I mean?
felt
They
a
were
lot
they were
like
Pepsi,
Facebook.
and you know what I mean? It was just it was not there. And I got it. And around this time, I believe, is when oh no, we got to talk about the
other character, the other bad guy.
Can we talk about how brilliant TJ Miller is?
I thought he was funny.
I just
So
hate
funny.
TJ Miller.
Oh my god, he's so I
don't
love
like
him.
as a person, but in that movie, I liked him.
Maybe it's like I just haven't seen enough of his stand up, but like I've seen him show up in movies, and like this isn't a fair comment. I just don't like his voice. I think he has a stupid voice.
He is the most cringe-worthy person I've ever met, and I love Silicon Valley to the end of this world.
I haven't seen Silicon Valley.
You
I,
just said
I
I've
did
never
wear that. I did. All right.
You are infamous.
So I met TJ Miller in an elevator. No, I've never met TJ Miller. I just suck at speaking.
I love TJ Miller. I thought he was really funny in this role. I'm gonna wear it. I thought he was really funny when he was. What did he say? He goes, "How are you?" He goes, "Yeah, well, I got this neck thing. It might be a." And I just thought it was so funny. And then like they called it back like 25 minutes later, and they're like, "How are you doing?" He goes, "I don't know, man. I'm gonna need physical therapy." And I just thought it was really funny, and I really wish he was in it more. Like I wish he was more of a. I wish he was in the movie more. I wish he had some like genuinely threatening moments because he was a treacherous looking character. So I wish that they balanced his treachery with humor a
I
little
think they were
bit more.
going for the contrast. 'Cause
Oh,
that's
100%.
That's what I was picking.
I would love him
Yeah.
to like actually show up and intimidate Wade and the rest of the thing, and then find out that he's kind of a goofball. Like I just wanted more of him because I thought he was funny,
We
and I
didn't
thought
really
this
find
character
out
design
about
was
him.
fun.
We didn't really learn about.
He was
him.
just there.
Yeah.
I only liked him because it was TJ
He's a
Miller.
bit character. He
Yeah.
he sets up the force field. He around with the main characters sometimes, and he does a few funny jokes. That was probably a really good use of him in that role. I just, like I said, I just really do not like TJ Miller, so
Yeah.
I think I'm just biased.
I did not like him in something where he was live action. I just don't like him as
Deadpool.
a person.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh my! The more you read about,
Yeah, he's like the supporting.
his
He's
name's
Wade's
Weasel,
best friend.
and that's
He's
very
the
appropriate.
One who named Deadpool. It's like now I'm gonna
why am
lose
I
the
blank?
Deadpool.
He's in the bar.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
the
he's
bartender.
Okay, so he just looks.
And then he's the.
I think that's just his face.
He's the only.
You really hate him, don't you?
I just like he just like someone sent me, the person I saw Ready Player One would send me a link, and it's like, oh, he got drunk and called in a fake bomb threat on a woman he just didn't like on the train.
Oh, I saw about that.
And I was like, that's a thing to do.
Yeah, I didn't look into it, but yeah.
I also saw the Emoji Movie like 2 weeks ago, so maybe that had something to do with it too.
That's who's in it?
He's the star of the Emoji Movie,
Oh man.
and I think it's probably his best performance.
Oh, that's low.
Damn.
Anyway,
That's something I won't even touch.
so no one's touching that. So at this point, and they go to this party. They go to the big party. He's dressing up like Buckeye, Burley, Bucka.
Oh, the dance club, the anti-grav dance club.
Yeah. What did he dress up as? It was
Something from an anime with Stu Watches or something.
was
Or
an
game.
in fact, check this. What did Wade dress up as when he went to the party?
Buckaroo or something.
Buckaroo
But yeah-
Bonsai.
Yeah.
Buckaroo.
I think Buckaroo was.
I would put like $1
Sorry
down
to
right now that whatever
fans
this
of this
character
thing,
he was imitating was played by John Cusack.
We just like film. We don't know this thing. But he buys with all of his new money, his newfound riches. He buys.
How am I supposed to find that?
I don't know, man. It's
That is,
fine.
like,
It's
obscure
fine. It's obscure. It's
Look up Ready
obscure.
Player One, Buckaroo Bonsai.
We already know. We already know.
It's not.
No,
We already know. We already know.
They know a thing or two.
No
about a thing or
one,
two.
literally,
Buckeye.
no one cares.
Buckeye.
It's fine. It's fine. He buys a new suit that allows him to kind of like, he can feel everything now. Like his whole body is able to feel like any players touching him or hitting him or anything like that. And then there's that
boner
scene,
It's
the boner
like-
suit.
You're paying for the rest of it
Really?
to feel in your boner.
You're really paying for that.
I'm pretty sure at one point Samantha or Artemis
She did.
Yeah, just like, can you feel that? Like,
She did not
swing.
She did
She
not.
basically did. And then the entire movie was just blue balls.
It was here.
Not that I want.
Touched her here. And it was. I remember going back because it like lit up slightly.
It got
Yeah.
a little bit. It got a little bit intense.
It was okay. It was sexy. It was a
Okay,
sexy moment.
what a terrible design idea for the makers of the suit though to make it light up externally. Because like if you're playing this and someone walks into your room and you're like touching down here or a place where you don't want people to walk in on you touching, you're like, I know exactly what you're doing. That's gross. At least if it doesn't light up externally, you can play it off as something else.
I like to think that he was push-ups.
Push-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Tenacious D. And the power slide.
We're really going downhill here. So we get what I think is another. I will say that this is another low point in the movie is when he confesses his love to her after knowing her for like a day or two.
On the internet.
Yeah, I was
can
like
relate.
when he was just like I'm falling in love with you. I audibly I was what?
Yeah.
Not even in a kid's movie do I buy that. Like, say like I want to meet in real life or my name's Wade. Like saying that is believable because he's just like, oh, he's a kid and he's finding love and he's becoming vulnerable and he wants to share it when he thinks he knows her but really doesn't. And that with me was enough. Be like, yeah, I want to meet you in real life. My name's Wade. And she's like, whoa, like why'd you? They didn't need this love drop, like way too heavy-handed. And I just thought I was,
Yeah.
this is ridiculous.
And that would have worked with just the name thing because we see that one, it has consequences because people are able to grab him and find his real life identity because of that and then
Yep.
blow up his only living family.
Yep.
And then two, it's just a huge social taboo.
Yes, and it would have been enough, but they just took it. They just took it too
Yeah.
far. They crashed the place. IOI ends up trying to capture them or kill them. Even I'm not really even sure what their ultimate goal was, but they end up finding out who it was. I think T.J. Miller's character was the one who found it out, and then right after that is when he actually meets Artemis in real life. And that was another point in the movie where I thought it was a little bit distasteful. The whole movie they were building up. She was like, nope, this isn't my body. This isn't my hair. This isn't my face. This isn't it. And then I'm just like, oh, this girl must be like totally different or have something happen to her where she is she is ashamed of who she is, or you know, she's afraid to show herself to the real world, and then you meet her, and she's beautiful.
Yeah, she has a scar
And
you
she
can't
has,
see in indoor
it's
lighting.
not a scar. It's like a slight, like light red birthmark that's not jarring at all.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, like they're teaching people that they should be afraid. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta, like, I'm not saying make her just like this fugly, like just like a disgusting character, but I'm saying she needs to be, there needed to be something more. To find out that she was ashamed when she was just like this gorgeous redhead who, like, with a nice body. You know what I mean? I was just like, really, like this small little thing that could be seen as kind of endearing and fun.
She wasn't. There's nothing wrong with her.
No.
They were. I mean, I'm not saying that there should have been something else wrong with her, but like I feel like you're right that they made it, inflated out like such a bad thing, and it wasn't even a bad thing. And it's like I feel like if you're going to play that angle, why don't relate to more people?
Yeah.
I mean, you could keep the actress. I thought she did a fine job in her role. Just like keep the actress. Just make the scar like an actual sort of thing you can't unsee.
Yeah.
Because in some of the actual shots, the way they're lit or the way the makeup is set up, I don't know what it is. You don't notice it, and like you would see from there all the action shots she's doing later in the movie when she's running through IOI and doing all sorts of stunts and stuff. Like you wouldn't really notice it as much then, but like it might as well stand out. So it's like it's an actual thing you'd be like ashamed of.
Yeah,
Something
I just found it
fancy.
distasteful,
Yeah.
and but she was bland. So they came up with a scene that was kind of semi-clever, where they tricked director Krennic into thinking he was in the Oasis, or thinking he was in real life when he was actually in the Oasis.
I like
Yeah.
that bit.
Um,
I thought that was clever.
that was fun. That was fun. I gotta be honest. I recently did virtual reality for the first time.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
What'd you play?
Um,
Or View? What'd you play or View?
I played Fruit Ninja, which was amazing.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
Reasonable.
So awesome. And then there was also this other, it was Data something. It was me and another guy, and we were killing a room filled with robots. It was so cool. It was so fun. But the point is, when I was wearing it, it was incredibly obvious I was wearing it.
This is way future, though.
I mean, there's still a headset. You can still feel a headset
Yeah,
on
but
you.
how do you know? Because
How do you know?
we're talking 2040. I'm not ruling out that there's like feeling suppressors to make you so you feel like you're not wearing something.
Okay, I'll buy
You know
that.
what I mean?
Plus, how long is your average VR session currently? Like, if you go for, I think, a certain amount of time, eventually your body would just adjust to it. I mean, like, and that's just my experience playing.
Sorry, guys.
Really, Mr. Phone's off.
Everything else is muted except for f***ing alarm.
Total silence.
Sorry, guys.
But like, I remember like this Guitar Hero wasn't even VR, and I remember getting off of that, and I would like look at the wall, and the wall would be like, ooh.
Yeah,
So like
yeah, I
your
know
your body will adjust to things like that. So I think like I'd give that a plausible.
Sure. I just thought I was like, he didn't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he didn't know.
Can you
But
guys
it was cool. It was cool.
help me figure out so he saw a reflection on the device that he was in that gave away that he was in a simulation? How did that work? I didn't understand that.
I don't know.
You remember that?
Yeah, he catches something. I guess it's kind of hard to remember, like, if he's in because he has a big pod that his containment unit is. And I don't remember if he's out of the pod and he's like moving around like some kind of like trackpad like other players have,
Yeah.
or if he's just stationary the whole time.
He was stationary in the chair.
Yeah, he was just.
See, that's if he's stationary and he's not moving.
kept his friggin' password. Like an 80-year-old. Like, it was.
That was a
I was
long
like-
password. I would need a password.
So
like that.
we just found an Easter egg, though. Seriously, because if he's wearing goggles,
Mm-hmm.
how is he seeing a reflection if he can't see anything that isn't VR?
It's a good question. We are gonna
We
need to
gotta
watch
be,
the movie again.
Yeah, we gotta
Right?
be missing something. I don't know. I actually forget how it worked, but I do
Yeah.
remember. I do remember the thing, but I honestly just completely forget how it worked and how they pulled it off.
Yeah.
I just don't know. But beyond that, we head to our final battle, and this is where all of these nostalgic figures start to show up, and there's some payoffs. What did you guys think of the last kind of climactic battle scene?
I liked it.
I said, right as it happened, when the Iron Giant is going in, I was like, if the Iron Giant dies, I'm going to scream in this theater. And the Iron Giant died, and I screamed, and it was school vacation when I saw it, so a bunch of like 12, 13, 14-year-olds turned around and looked at me like I was the dumbest person in the world.
I don't even know the Iron Giant.
Yeah, and I was like, you turn the fuck around. It's the same way I felt when I went to Toy Story 3, like the year I graduated high school and was going to college, and Andy was graduating and going to college, and then a bunch of 3-year-olds were crying because whatever reason in the theater, like, this is not for you. Get over it. Children.
The Iron Giant, I was just waiting. I mean, I don't know if I'm alone here, but the fact when the Iron Giant, I was just waiting for the dent to come out, like it does in the movies, and him to just go shit and go machine, like just full on like death machine. I was just like, something's gonna happen where the Iron Giant has the dent in his head, just go. And then he's going to eventually just go crazy and he's going to like morph and it's going to be so sick. Yeah. And I was just waiting for it because this is the most perfect time to do this.
Yeah.
And it never happened. And that was a huge letdown for me.
I would have loved that as a fan of the Iron Giant, but at the same time, it's like, that's too much time you're spending on like one fan base of all these characters that are in there, and it's a bit piece.
It's not one fan base. It's the audience that these guys are trying to. It's the audience. That's like saying this movie spends too much time on 80s and 90s nostalgia.
But there was a lot going on that. Like there was Mechagodzilla, there was Spartans, there were the characters from Mortal Kombat.
The Iron Giant ends up taking down the giant Mechagodzilla, right?
Yes.
No, a Gundam fights
right,
that.
the Gundam.
But Gundam fights that, but then he fails and he gets smaller, and then the Iron Giant comes back in, punches it one last time, and then creates the bridge.
Oh yeah, and then he falls.
Falls in the lava.
TJ Miller's
and he's got
the
the thumbs up.
Yeah, he does the Terminator thumbs up.
Yeah,
that was cool.
But yeah, so that was cool.
I think there was room for that, though. I think there was room for that Iron Giant freak out.
It could have been 30 seconds.
It could have been like his motive. Yeah, okay, so thinking about it that way, it could have been like his thing where like when he comes back and fights Mechagodzilla and finishes him off, the dent could have popped out and he could have changed his icon.
It could have been really cool. I just feel like it was a missed opportunity. I was really looking forward to that. It was just one of those things in my head where it's just like, this is predictable, but I can't fucking wait for this predictable thing to happen. Like, please happen. But the only moment in the movie where I was sitting there like, oh my God. The only time that happened in the movie was when this dude was meditating. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, help your friends. And then he was just like, all right, I'm going Gundam. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so cool. And then he came back and the Gundam looked awesome. Yeah, he looked really good. Like really visually pleasing. And I loved it. I mean, was it a bad or a good thing that when he shrunk down and he didn't, I was just like, damn it. Like, I didn't want him to shrink. I wanted more. But does that mean that they didn't stick with it long enough, or does that mean that they did a great job? You know what I mean? I don't really know.
I think you have to segment out in a movie like this what you're going to use and where. And I think it could be the same reason that the Iron Giant didn't get to pop the dent out of his head.
That is just a misstep.
Yeah, that's
it.
I think it was balanced. I wanted to see it, but I think it was balanced.
Right.
No, but I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. And while we're on the topic of things looking good, when I saw the preview of this movie, I thought it was just going to be a CGI shitstorm. I really liked I liked the visuals. I thought that at no point was I just like, ugh, like it wasn't like X-Men Apocalypse. Like it wasn't just like this siege, just like it was good. I wasn't consistently reminded that I was watching a special effect. I thought that the CGI it looked solid. No complaints.
One thing I did note about this, and it's kind of something I noted about all Spielberg movies. All Spielberg movies have the same kind of score. All of them.
Sure.
At first I was like, I don't like this, but then I got into it and I was like, this is a Spielberg movie. This is a Spielberg score. It works. Mm-hmm. So I ended up liking it, but I did realize that literally no matter what the movie, well, maybe not Schindler's List, all Spielberg movies have roughly the same score, or the same style score, same guy actually.
Yeah.
It's funny. We're talking about Spielberg because I knew it was Spielberg. He was going to direct it. Well, I knew it was no. I said I knew it was Spielberg who directed the movie, and then when we got to the end, the credits were playing. It's like a film by Steven Spielberg. I was like, all right, Spielberg did this, and I was like, nah. Like the movies, I think like the movie was like fine on its own. We've already discussed its problems. Like it has that, and then like for Spielberg, like I usually really like Spielberg movies. He does have his tropes and his go-tos, but he is very good at making movies. And I feel like because this was such a thing where like he wasn't like there with a monitor and a camera, it just fell flat. It doesn't feel like one of his movies. And putting his name on it, I feel like it's kind of a disappointment.
Wait, so explain that a little bit.
Like, Steven Spielberg is good at taking stories and just bringing you through them. Like, Saving Private Ryan, I think, is one of my favorite ones of his movies. I've seen it a bunch. And it's a very, like, it's an over-dramatized account of what happened. It's not really that realistic. I think it's based loosely on a historical account of something that the Army did to save face. But it pulls a lot out of a little bit.
Yeah.
And it adds a very grandiose, like, human connection to it. And I think that's what Steven Spielberg is really good at. And maybe just because it was so much digital, but it just felt like maybe I couldn't connect with the characters because they were digital, and also because you're creating this in a digital world and don't have a camera in front of it, it feels like less of the director's personality is involved.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, I agree with that. I feel like no matter if you're primarily a live action director and then move to a movie that's 15% live action, I think anyone would have that issue. But I agree.
It's hard though. It's I have to agree that it's hard to develop a character where you, like you said, nobody wants to see the real world. They just want to see the Oasis. So it's kind of hard to develop that character and not lose people right away. But I feel like they could have found a better way.
He also could have been interesting and good.
This is true.
Like he could have, like, instead of figuring out how to make the character better, why not just make him not like there
not to say that the actor was bad, because the actor did a pretty good job. It's just his character was not written.
I think it was interesting. He also played Cyclops in the X-Men Apocalypse movie.
Yeah.
And the entire movie he was wearing a thing over his eyes, and then in this movie the entire time he was wearing a thing over his eyes. I'm just like, he's just like the guy you
now.
get.
You're never gonna get out of it.
Like he's the guy you get
you
when
don't
you
really
need a
him.
thing.
You don't really need him.
When you don't need an actor's
In
face.
in the fake world. You don't need him.
That's a rough line of work for someone like that.
It's not his
fault.
fault. He's getting work, guys.
Sounds like it's his fault.
He's
It's
getting
not his
work.
fault.
But so anyway, we're going in. So this corporation is putting the spell over that lasts like 2,000 years or whatever
orb of,
T.J. Miller said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious that he when he was making the dig at the IOA guy, saying you can't even name a magic spell, or you don't even know a magic item. Something like that. I thought it was pretty funny.
I mean, it's accurate. Accurate on many different levels. But you know, one of the things that I can't stand when movies get this is silly little continuity errors like this. When they play it back, I'm just like, how could you possibly miss that? There's a scene in this movie that plays twice. I don't know if you guys picked up on it. No. There's a scene in the IOI. They're talking, and this main character goes, "All right, that's not it. He fell through the ice." They play that identical scene.
Oh, they keep
twice.
saying it.
No, they don't keep saying it. They play the same scene.
Are you
twice.
serious?
I'm 1,000%
In a 2.5
certain.
hour movie, they played the same scene twice.
Yep. It was a short.
2.5 hours.
What?
Was it?
2.5?
It was pretty long.
That's long.
My life go?
Two.
I don't know.
2.5.
Anyway,
Fact check.
I just
It's
can't.
like 2:10.
Like
Calm
if
down,
you,
weirdos.
if you are,
I'm not gonna even fact check that.
if you're making a movie of this scale and you're working with someone like Steven Spielberg, you can't have a scene in your movie play twice. Like, that is so ridiculous.
I thought
to
it was
me.
redundant. I didn't realize that they were playing the same clips to me.
Same, just that one.
But yeah.
He fell through the ice. Like,
How
it
dumb is
was
that
bad.
too? Considering like how much of this film do you actually have to shoot?
I'm
None.
surprised
You have you're
Virtually.
you're rendering at least 60% of this
He
film.
shot like a commercial, and then everything else was CGI.
To be fair, is intense. We can't even set up a green screen.
That's true. Hey, another few rollers, and we'll be good.
Yeah,
But-
we're obviously just getting started here.
Yeah, we'll evolve. But
Unlike the characters
yeah.
in this movie.
Oh!
Shots fired, man down!
Where are you at, Spielberg?
Pew pew.
Boycotting Netflix.
So, that all happens. He ends up winning, goes back. Krennic shows up with a gun. He's in the back of the car. He's like, oh, blah, blah. And then Krennic's like, blah, blah. And then it happens. And then they open the doors again.
And then the police finally show up.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, these guys are here.
I didn't know. See, this is why I thought like a little bit of world building and needing to know was a good thing, because we get to that point and I was like, the police are here. I assumed these gaming companies had gotten so big that they just were the government at this point, but now they're actual government services. And now I'm just wondering, and I was like, well, I know it's not part of the story, but like, what do people do for work in this world if you don't work at a gaming company? And how is there a government that functions?
They
with
showed
police?
someone having a job.
Did they?
In the beginning, yeah, and they were like, and when you lose everything in the game, you basically lose everything in real life. And he was literally about to jump and commit suicide, and everyone was like, no, don't do it.
Oh, that part.
He was
I
just
thought was funny.
he had like a desk job. He was just like in some sort of corporate.
that
He was like
guy,
a
yeah.
networking engineer or something. And then they were just like, and he literally just goes to straight up.
But he was playing the game, so what is his actual job?
Yeah, what
Maybe
is-
that was his break. I don't know.
That's a good catch.
There were
Yeah,
people.
like-
There were people in the when this whole thing happened. They showed things of people like playing this game just in the middle of the street. I'm like, you can't.
Like in the middle of the street, I'm okay with though, because then like people are like around. Like the street is your free time, but like there are so many office buildings where like you see that scene and stuff, and like we don't know what that office building does, and like the fact that it's there, and then like I don't know. I just feel like a little bit of context maybe, or like do it differently. I don't know an exact example to point to, and I don't know exactly how to fix it, but like yeah, like something like that is like, what does this guy at this job do, and why is it just playing video games?
And also like you're right. Where the the safety protocol? Like unless there's like Tesla autopilot, like when you happen to run into a street, like what the happens when you just like everybody's running and all of a sudden an 18-wheeler comes? Is it just game over for them?
Yeah, like I thought it was very silly to see people doing this in their homes. I was just like, okay. But to see people doing it in the middle of the street, like on the sidewalk of wherever they were, whatever major city they were in, I was just like, how are you not bumping into people? Why are you doing what you're doing? It was very silly.
They were trying to get across that everybody, no matter age or skill level, can use this
and
thing.
no matter where they are.
And no matter where they are. But they failed to bring up the thing that's actually relevant right now is the fact that VR is only usable if it's in a like static environment.
Yeah.
Like you can't use it anywhere
You
else.
can't just like walk around in this oasis and then walk around in the world as if like you just can't do it.
I'm also scared of VR in the future because I remember when I played Red Dead Redemption and I was addicted to that. I started when I was driving my car. I thought I could just tap AA and just drive over people's lawns and
Oh, dude, you don't gotta get me started. When I was I played a lot of Fast and Furious in the or Need for Speed in the arcade. And whenever I'm like the first couple years of me driving, I felt like pumping my gas twice would give me a wheelie. You know what I mean? And I was and it's the same thing. You grow these habits.
Yeah.
And it's I know exactly what you're talking about. Just the other when I did VR the other day, I had a bow and arrow. And I can only imagine like the urge, like if I saw something, like I can only imagine like if I do that, like you say, your body learns, your body adapts to what happens, and you're eventually like I'm playing Fruit Ninja, and I can just see things, and I'm like, ching! What happens when things become so
Cops, like,
real?
not today.
Yeah, like
It's too
you
real.
become
Too real.
it becomes so real to the point of like your body can no longer even differentiate the difference between the virtual world and the real world, and the habits that you get don't.
I'm sorry I beat this woman to death, but I just been off a Grand Theft Auto binge. She was wearing leopard print.
Yeah.
You know how it goes. But I think with the thing of like people like walking into the street, there is a part of the movies where like every movie does create plot holes. So if you examine it like that closely, things will come up. But like, I think the fact that like this did seem to show a person who had this reaction in the Oasis in that one scene, but like seemed to be at a job situation. But everyone else was doing it too. So I'm like, is your job being in the Oasis? And if the Oasis is this omnipresent, like, how weird is it to be a police officer and just be in real life every day? Like, that must suck.
Yeah.
Yeah. So another like glaring issue I found with this movie, and maybe there's something that I'm missing. This is in 2040, and everyone like, where are the references to the last 40 years of things that have happened?
It
like,
has the Star Wars problem. So one of the biggest problems with Star Wars, and depending on how far back you want to go, but if you just want to start with the movies, you've got about a 60-year span going from 1, 2, and 3 to 7, 8, 9. If you want to get into EU, you can go back 4,000 years before A New Hope. Yeah. And all of the technology is the same. It just looks a little different each time. And so you have a society that is heavily stagnating due to the fact that they reached massive technological peaks and then never improved on it, and all they're doing is going to war with each other.
the biggest... I meant more like on the surface of just like the references.
Yeah.
Like, how do the kids, like, how old's Wade? 17? 18 years old?
I thought he was like 25.
Oh.
25?
Is he not 25?
I felt like he
No
was a
way.
kid.
Yeah.
Like he was a kid.
Yeah,
Well,
no.
anyway, so like whether he's 18 or 25, it doesn't really matter. How does a 18-year-old in 2040 know Back to the Future? That would be like us being just like, whoa, like, remember the 40s? Wasn't that awesome?
He'd have to have good parents, but wait.
Oh no! No, but I think it's Star Wars. It's like technological and societal stagnation, and I think part of the stagnation that happens in that is cultural, and like you can kind of see it from us because like a lot of our major movies that come out in America in a year are stuff that already exists. It's already intellectual property. It's either remakes, like they were remaking RoboCop, and they do a big remake every year, or it's an already existing property like the Marvel movies, or it's a new Star Wars movie, or it's the DC universe now. They're stories that we already know.
Yeah, what we weren't told is there's probably a Back to the Future 2049, just like there was a
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
You know, could have happened that year.
I just constantly, it was just jarring to me being just like, wait, this is 2040? These are kids. Yeah. I'm like, where? Nothing's happened? Like nothing, like they're still talking about Back to the Future. They're still talking about Mortal Kombat. They're still talking about all this stuff. Like, it's just been the same. And I heard the argument where it's just like, oh no, they're obsessed with that stuff because Halliday was obsessed with that stuff. Mm-hmm. But it still brings up the point of like, but nothing else happened? Like, they didn't talk about anything that's happened. It's all just like kids in 2040 reminiscing about things that happened
40 years before they were born.
not even 40, like 70.
Yeah.
Yeah, in some cases.
Like 60.
That's insane.
Yeah,
What
they're
came out 70 years ago from the time...
from now?
From now.
Friggin'
Like King Kong.
Yeah.
Like-
And King Kong's been rebooted a bunch, so it's kind of
like the first King Kong movie,
You'd
or
have
like
to be a real fanboy to like something like.
Yeah.
I appreciate, like, I'm a filmmaker, so like 50s, 60s movies
Sure.
I like, but like most people are like, you talk to a kid these days, like a millennial, or like maybe not a millennial, X generation, whatever they want to call themselves. Tide Pod generation.
that is
Z.
such shit. The Tide Pod. I could go out on a rant on Tide Pods. That is
Nobody
such.
ate Tide
That is such. That was a.
Tell us how
That
they
was.
taste.
That was a.
Like,
That was a completely just like the media created that trend.
I believe it. after
Like
hearing
that, there are not a generation of kids eating Tide Pods. That is the most ridiculous notion I've
Although,
ever
I
heard.
Even if
love
that
to tag
generation
them with
is
that.
eating
Sure.
Tide Pods, they're also going out into the streets and probably doing the best for gun control reform.
Yeah, these kids, they're
Let's
not that
not.
bad.
Let's
They're not
not.
that bad.
Yeah.
They're fine. They're fine.
Gen Z's a nightmare.
But they
Cultural
find out
stagnation.
shit. They find out all that shit. He finds out the thing. He's like, no, it's not about winning. It's about playing the game. And then he wins. And then life's awesome. And then he gets the girl. And then we find out that Butler McButlerface has been the business partner the entire time. What did you guys think of the twist?
I liked it.
I was fine with it. I love Simon Pegg, and I didn't see it coming, so I was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't see it coming either.
I also didn't see it coming. Probably because it was
Yeah, just thrown in there.
worthless. But yeah, I didn't see it coming.
It was a throwaway, but
It made the extra life. It made the extra life coin better. When I saw it, I was just like, "Oh yeah, he got that on a whim, sure." You know. But then when you see that it's like, "Oh, it was him that gave him the coin," it was kind of. I was just like, "Okay."
Yeah,
So did he
fine.
get the quarter and not realize at the time that it was an extra life?
I think he did.
I don't think the
think he
kid
did.
realized it was an extra life because
Or maybe-
he gets the quarter and he sees it's like you see it when he catches it. It's the Washington head.
Yep.
And then later on he comes back and he's like, "Why aren't I dead?" And he looks at his coin on the back side of that. It says extra life.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess at that point in the movie I just didn't care and I was like, "Oh, good, Simon Pegg is getting his like screen time worth."
Yeah, I think we're looking too much into it now. I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was a little weird, but
Very
I didn't-
Hollywood.
I didn't have a problem. Yeah, very Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's fine. And then
That's
you
what
go
I
back. You kind of go back to Halliday's old room where he's actually himself and not his wizard avatar.
Was that his younger self?
Yeah,
I think that was
he says
his-
he keeps his younger self around to like hang out every once in a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because I missed that line. I think.
Yeah.
And he also, what else did he do? Oh, he tested him. He asked. He goes, "All right, sign here," and he goes, "No, that's a mistake you made." He goes, "Just had to be sure."
Yeah.
And I was like, "All right," and then that's when they went into the
cried
room.
during that part, even though it was really cliche and unrealistic. I thought, but I cried during that.
It was
You know
nice.
what? I didn't like the movie, but I teared up too. I teared up too.
No, it's like a nice moment that you have that because I think it was cool that like this is a guy like Halliday is like a brilliant person, but like in real life, like that dude was crippled. Like, and I think like it's very obvious that he's on the spectrum somewhere and
Oh, yeah.
couldn't break out of that. And then this, but like he was so amazing at one thing and how he expressed himself, and he changed the entire world because of that. And so the fact that he's kind of like he kind of hides his deficiency inside of the thing that was his proficiency. Was
Yeah,
cool.
I liked that he was eccentric, but also very, very, very human and emotional. And I really, and in the way that I forget who played him, but whoever played him, like I picked up on like the subtleties of it really well.
Yeah,
So I thought he did great.
So then at the end, Wade owns the Oasis, and he shuts it down, I think, for 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like Tuesdays and Saturdays.
and that's the whole allegory of the movie is, hey, go outside.
Every once in a while.
I didn't think it was as cliche as you obviously think it was.
Yeah.
Because I think it was
Is
a good
that-
message.
Oh, sure, it's a good message. But I remember, I mean, like...
I thought it was.
like
I think
Disney
everyone should
Channel
have someone to make out with on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So like, I thought that worked very well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, by the way, we close the Oasis down on these days, and like the entire shot is just a slow like pan and tilt around them macking on this like cool designer sofa that he can buy now because he has the Oasis.
Oh, when I saw, I don't know, I'm remembering it as like a beanbag chair.
It was like a weird thing of that. Probably something.
It was a
like that.
funky looking. But yeah, I just thought that
I want
this
make-out
whole
furniture
movie, this whole movie, this entire like huge, just like larger than life movie, the takeaway was, hey, don't play video games so much. It was like, hey, go outside every once in a while.
I don't
didn't
think
get
though.
that.
I think you were like, I don't like that part.
No, I like the message. I
Yeah.
think that kids should go outside. I think that there should be a balance between video games and real life and being able to get some physical exercise and physical meeting people. Like I think there's certainly value in
Well,
that,
I
and I
think-
think it needs to happen. But it was a small takeaway for such a grand movie. I thought that's just how it struck me. I didn't think the message was bad. I thought the message was good, but I thought it was a little like, wow, this whole. Is that what the whole movie's about?
So I just didn't think it was that heavy-handed. Like I never felt
thought
like
the
it was that
problem
big.
that it was
Like
heavy-handed.
I thought like it's like, oh hey, we did all these things for the Oasis. We kept ads out of it. We kept it going for players. I split it between all of the friends who helped me win it, and we have this joint company now. And then like, yeah, we just shut it down for Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like, I don't know.
I thought it was self-contained, like in its own thing. Like I didn't try to take the cliche and apply that to the real world, like our real world. I just thought that it was all self-contained and it was realistic for him to.
I just try to take away the allegory from every movie. I try to. What is this movie telling me? What is this movie telling me about life? What is this movie telling me about the human condition? What is this movie telling me about anything? And I always ask myself that. And then at the end, it just...
I think in that case, like what it said was that it's good to dedicate yourself to something, and like if you love it, really explore it fully, like the way that he explored the game and would go into Halliday's memories and really figured all this stuff out. But then it's also good to, like, I don't know, try other stuff. I mean, he just wanted to play video games and like find the egg, and like he didn't really care about like helping people. And then he becomes invested in Samantha and her story about IOI, how they I don't think we went over this, but like her whole reason for becoming Artemis and looking for the keys is that,
And how she became just so hard to
so hard, was that like her dad had been like locked up in one of these IOI labor camps and then like died there. Which again, if there is a government, why is this legal? But
Yeah, the world building machine.
yeah.
So out of everything that we've talked today, spoken on today, Aaron, what would you give this movie A through F?
A through F?
We can do pluses and minuses and stuff.
I think like I'd give it like a solid like C plus B minus probably. I think for like anyone who's gonna go into it, you're gonna see a bunch of stuff that you know. Like you'll find at least one pop culture icon you can touch on. I think the story is not handled well in the opening act and world building that we've talked about, but I think for the average viewer it like finds the beats, and like I was fine with the story once it got going. I thought it moved well. And it's interesting, and it's like a new premise. So I think it's like an average okay movie.
All right, Evan, what do you think? A through F.
I'm gonna give it a B. I thought it was definitely a good story. Like I said, the beginning was weak, but like once it got into its thing, it kind of carried itself with me, and I didn't really pull anything. I didn't really pull any kind of like nothing was really force fed to me except for that parent double scene that I missed. I mean, but yeah, I would give it a B.
Sure. I think, to wrap it up, I think I would give this a C minus. Feels a little mean. C. I'd give it a C. There are parts of it I definitely enjoyed. I think the movie has some serious flaws, and I was expecting a little bit more out of a Spielberg film. And with something with such a grand premise and a grand world, I was expecting more world building. And I think that the opening of that, they could have really... I think if the opening was better, it could have been like a B plus in my eyes. If they just tweaked a couple things about the beginning, not having it be so expositional and blah, 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 blah. I think that, yeah. And then
if you're going to blow up someone's family member, make them care about it. Otherwise, that family member doesn't need to be in the movie.
And if the Iron Giant's going to be in your damn movie, make the dent. You got to do the dent thing. You can't not undent his head. That's the whole point of the Iron Giant.
Undented.
You got to undent it.
Undented.
But yeah, I'd give it a C. I'd say that if you're looking for some real quality like storytelling or filmmaking, you don't want to see this movie. But if you're looking for something to just kind of entertain you for 2 hours and you want to go, see this with a couple of friends, you'd probably have a good time. And yeah, that's where I guess we can wrap this up. We have been
go around, tell each other what we're working on right now, and shit like that.
What are we working on? Aaron, what the hell are you working on?
Oh God, that is a good question. I am currently working on a few things that are NDA, so I can't talk about them. But if you would like to head over to rootbeerstudios.com, you can check out a lot of work that I have co-written and co-produced. Also, if you want to check out the YouTube channel Rubriculous, I've done a lot of behind-the-scenes work on that as well.
Would you like to spell that?
Just put RBKLS in all caps, and you'll probably find it.
I think nobody would have guessed. For sure.
Cool. So yeah, guys, I'm just Evan with Hop Top Films. Brutally Honest Reviews, our new thing. Stay tuned here. Got a lot of stuff going on, and turn it over to Bobby.
So I'm the director of marketing at a company called Wormwood Gaming. We make high-end, handcrafted tabletop gaming accessories. It's a bit niche. We're constantly doing small reviews and behind the scenes from things like conventions, creating things in our workshop, and things of that nature. And if you guys wanted to check us out, it's Wormwood Gaming on Facebook or just Wormwood. And I am also a DJ because that's semi-unrelated. But if you wanted to check out my page, DJ Bobby Downey, that's like 90% of my job right there. if you wanted to check out my page, DJ Bobby Downey, I am constantly working with Mac O Visuals, and we're putting out some really, really cool music videos. So check us out there.
Justin.
So, hi, I'm Justin Carberry, and I am with Brutally Honest Films, and Brutally Honest is a company. I also will be starting a YouTube channel in the coming weeks for video games with a few of my friends, and we'll see really how that develops, but I will not have a name for that until at least an episode or two from now, because life happens, and I haven't had time, but I will have time this week. Stay tuned.
Awesome. All right, and keep your eyes and ears open for our next review. We're going to be doing A Quiet Place right after this, and we'll see you guys next time.
Hold on to your butts.
Take care!
Peace.